Michelle from Seams Like Quilting here, and we're going to talk about curved piecing today. Now, I'm working on a shop sample. We have a new collection called Folktale. Let's see if I can find, which is just this gorgeous kind of almost block print in these yummy denim blues and beautiful kind of taupes. Really pretty. And we're making the Lotus pattern from Zen Chic. We're going to kit this up for the store. But I know that a lot of people are really intimidated by curved piecing. We had a huge long discussion about that before we picked this pattern for this collection, because we're worried that people are going to be intimidated by the curved piecing and not pick up the pattern and try. But this is a fantastic pattern to try out your curved piecing for a couple of reasons. One, it's the same curve every single time, so you're getting a lot of practice kind of with the same piece and the same curve. It walks through how to build templates and use templates. So if you've never done that, that's a great new skill. And the way that this pattern is written, you actually make half square triangles before you do the curve, which really helps stabilize the fabric because you're only working on like one bias kind of edge that's a little squidgy, not two. The other thing that that the instructions have that'll really help a beginner curve piecer is the way that this pattern goes together. The curves are marked, notched, so that they're easy to put together, and also they're meant to be trimmed at the end. So it's a fantastic pattern for a beginning curved piecer. I'm really excited about it. So first I'm going to cut. So I have my outside, my curve cut here out of the secondary piece. But then I'm going to trim off. It's hard to see my marking line, but with templates, with your marking pencil, you can, if you have a thinner pen or pencil or marking tool, you get a really crisp line around the template. If you have a thicker one, you've got to really be careful where you cut on that line. I have a thicker one. I actually really like this Ultimate Marking Pencil. It's an iron off, but it's a little thicker. So that means that when I use it, I get a thicker line, and I want to cut to the inside of my line because that's really the outside of my template, is the inside of my line. So let's talk about how we're going to do this. Now this pattern is notched, and it has you like mark your templates and then mark your fabric and then line up the notches. That's actually not how I prefer to do it, so I'm going to do it a little bit differently, but that's a fantastic way to start if you want to try. My preferred method is actually to take my curve and fold it in half, and I want to get the halfway point on the inside of the curve. So I really want to get that 45-degree angle on one point here, and then on the inside of the curve, I'm just going to use my nail and I'm just going to finger press that. I don't need a massive mark. I just need, let's see if I can, yeah, I just need that little divot there. I'm going to do exactly the same thing to my other piece, my big curve. And because this is a half square triangle, I'm able to kind of use that 45-degree angle. Can you see what I'm doing? And then I'm just going to finger press that part of the curve. Okay. Now I'm going to take my two pieces, and I'm going to put my two centers of the curve together, and I'm just going to pin that. Now I don't care that this is flopping over. I really want to get the center correct. Especially when you have a pattern that's made to trim, when you get the center right, then you're going to be able to square it off. You're not going to have like it's super wonky, and then you run the risk of cutting yourself short. So once I have that middle in place, then I'm going to just kind of gently turn and pair up. Now I'm going to get wrinkles. I'm going to get pleats and stuff. I'm not going to worry about those because I'm not going to stitch them in. I'm just going to gently, and then add a few pins ever so gently. Bring the tail around. Okay, so you can see that I'm more or less lined up. I'm divoted a little bit. I'm wavy. I'm actually going to refine this when I get to the sewing machine. So I'm not super worried about, you know, I want to get close, but I don't need to be super specific. And again, that center, you know, going from the center out keeps it from getting too, and the fact that I'm going gentle and I'm not really pulling, keeps it from getting too wonky, too crazy. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the machine. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to take this to machine, and I'm just going to sew around this curve. I'm going to go nice and slow. I'm never sewing over a pin. We don't sew over pins. And I'm just going to kind of zhuzh the fabric together along the way. If you have a purple thing, this is a great use for it, or like a stylus, this is a great use for it, so you don't get your fingers in the way while you're doing this. So I'm going to do that. It'll be right back. The other cool thing about this pinning method is that I can chain stitch these. So when I get into this and I'm making this whole quilt top, I can actually like chain stitch these. I wouldn't do 30 at a time, but I'd be able to, you know, I don't have that many pins, but I'd be able to do, you know, 10 or 12 at a time, which will be really, really nice. So there I am. There's my 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can see it's a little wonky in there. I'm not overly concerned. You can see there's it looks like pleats, but they're not actually sewn in. If you have it out here, it looks like it's pleated, but it's not. So nothing is pleated, nothing is bent. And then I'm just going to fold this out and make sure that it's looking good from the other side. And that's it. Then I'm going to press it. Okay. And this is why trimming is important. So you see I've gotten out of square on both sides. It's not exactly perfect. Of course, it didn't start perfectly square because I cut it with shears and not a rotary cutter. But then I'm going to get my trusty dusty ruler here and trim this. Now, when you trim these, it's really important that you trim in your 1/4 inch seam allowance here so that when I sew the blocks together, I get a nice sharp point here and it doesn't like end way up here or anything like that. You want to see this hang over and you want your 1/4 inch right there. So I'm going to do both sides. And there it is. There is my curved piece. I'm really happy with that. There is a little bit of a thing right here for me to play with a little bit yet, or press out, or frankly it'll quilt out, which is one of my favorite things. But that's the end. So there is my curved piece. I want to add the other one to this side, but I just have to do that to the two sides of every block. See, all of them. That's what makes this a fantastic pattern for practicing curve piecing. It's the same curve over and over again, and you will really get good at it by the end. That's, you know, how we learn. We try something, maybe we do a couple of test ones with some leftover fabric, and then we go ahead and get started. And by the time you are done with this quilt, you'll be an expert curved piecer. So that's curved piecing, and we'll see you at the shop.